try this again. All right, so we're gonna do an all over full body flow. So come on down to your mats and we're gonna lie down onto our back. Hands underneath your glutes, legs stretched out. So we're just gonna start by squeezing one glute muscle at a time, alternating. So just tense up your right glute, feel it with your hand, and then relax it. And then tense up your left glute, and then relax it. Right and left. And we're just gonna alternate there. So letting your hips be nice and open with your legs straight out on the mat, your head is rested, and the whole body is relaxed except for alternating sides, squeezing one glute at a time, the left and then the right. Alternating sides, feeling those glute muscles squeeze one side at a time. And you're just going to feel your hips kind of rotate a little bit. Go ahead and continue there. So we're just alternating one glute at a time. Let's do that about 4 or 5 more times for each side. And 3. And one more time for each side. So we're just alternating a little simple glute squeeze. And your hands are underneath your glutes so that you can feel that contraction. One glute squeeze at a time. So this is kind of replicating the activation of the glutes as we're walking, alternating one glute at a time. And then from here, we're going to take our hands out from underneath those glutes, just resting our arms by our sides. And then we're going to bend our knees and place our footprints on the mat, starting with those knees and feet all the way together. And then we'll separate the toes and knees apart just as wide as they will go without forcing anything. And then let's pick up those heels and swing those heels out right behind the toes, placing those heels down. And now we have a nice, even parallel space between the feet and the knees. And we're just going to let the hips rock forward and backward. Inhaling to tilt forwards, the tailbone down into the mat, the hip bones tilted upwards, creating that little arch, that space under the sacrum. And exhale, scooping the belly towards the mat, flattening that sacrum and lower back into the floor. Inhaling to tilt forwards and arching that low back again. And then exhale and scooping that lower back into the floor, tightening those abs, tightening the glutes. And then inhale, feeling the low back start to help and move, tilting the pelvis forwards again. And then using those glutes and abs to tighten and flatten, tilting back. Then we're just going to continue rocking back and forth there. Inhale, tilting forwards. And exhale, tilting back. Now at this point, let's let the palms rotate upwards. Let the arms fall out to the sides a little bit more. And just trying to keep most of the upper back and the shoulders melting into your mat as we go through those pelvic tilts. Try to relax the muscles in your face and your jaw. And then from here, we're going to start rocking up a little bit higher, pushing into those feet, lifting the hips up into a little mini bridge, but not too high. You want to keep your rib cage on the floor. Hold that lifted hip position for your inhale, and then exhale to roll it back down. As the tailbone lands on the floor, you're going to tilt all the way forward to that little arch position. Inhale. Exhale, scooping the belly towards the floor. Feel the lower back flatten, the glutes squeeze, feet pushing down as the hips lift up. Again, not too high. Inhale, hold that tail lifted up. And then exhale, rolling back down. So continuing here, inhale to tilt forwards. Exhale, trying to rock and roll along the spine like a wave or like the bottom of a rocking chair. Trying to have only one section of the spine touching the floor at a time. Nice and smooth. Going for 4 more times here. Now, as you start to roll up, don't let your knees fall out to the sides. Keep those inner thighs active, holding those thighs in nice parallel lines. And as we start to move back and forth through that bridge, keep the shoulders anchored back into your mat. We're just flowing and rolling in and out of our bridge, breathing in and out from the nose. Let's go one more time through that bridge. Breathing in at the top and breathing out to roll it back down. Now we're going to roll all the way down, but not all the way into that forward tilt. We want to find neutral pelvic position, so we're nice and flat across the front of the pelvis. Floating the right leg up to tabletop. A 90-degree bend in the knee joint, starting with the knee directly above the hip area. And then from there, we're going to check back in on that neutral pelvic position and just check from right to left side. Make sure both hips feel equally weighted into the floor. And then let's flex and extend our ankle on the right side, just rolling back and forth, maybe curling and spreading the toes, flexing and pointing your ankle. And 3, and 2, and 1 more. And finally, we'll flex the ankle again so the heel is reaching forwards, the toes are reaching back. And then we're going to move from our hip joint, lowering our thigh away and back up. Inhaling to lower and exhaling to lift. And as we do this, we want to stabilize through the rest of the body. Think about anchoring the left thigh deeply into the hip joint. It's sinking down towards the floor, feeling the back of that left hip heavy into the mat as we're moving around the right thigh. Let's go for 3, and 2, 1 more. And then slowly placing that right foot all the way back down. Inhale here. Exhale, floating that left leg all the way up to tabletop. And now we should not have felt the pelvis move at all. We are still in neutral. We are still balanced and equal from right to left. And then let's move that left ankle back and forth. Little flexion and extension. Curling and spreading the toes for 5, and 4, and 3, and 2. And then holding that ankle flexed here. Inhaling to lower the thigh and exhaling to lift. And again, anchoring through your right thigh, feeling that right thigh sinking down into the hip joint. Inhaling to lower and exhaling to lift. We have 6, and 5, and 4, 3, 2, 1 more time, and now we're going to hold the left leg up. Inhale here, lowering the left foot all the way down and lifting the right leg immediately up. Exhale. Inhale to lower the right foot down and exhale to lift the left. Inhale to lower the left. Exhale, lift the right. Inhale, lower the right. Exhale, lifting the left. So alternating sides. Make sure you're feeling both footprints down on the floor together before you change sides. And you're trying to make sure that the pelvis is not moving at all as you're changing legs. And if this feels pretty easy and you want to move on to the next step, you can move from the top. So both legs start up at the top, and then one heel taps the floor and lifts, and then the other taps the floor and lifts. So you can do that. That's going to be a little bit more challenging if you'd like a little more challenge. Otherwise, you can still be lifting just from the floor and always making sure both feet are flat before you switch. So we're going to alternate here for 5 more for each side. Again, you could be doing that intermediate step from the top. Last 4 for each side. And 3. Breathing, 2 more each. And 1 more each side. And then if you've got both legs lifted, we'll place that other foot down. And that last foot down. Deep breath in, reaching those hands above the chest. We're going to interlace our fingers. Anchor the shoulder blades down towards the floor. Walk those shoulders away from the ears. Anchor your belly towards the mat. So flattening that lower back into the mat. Now we are not in neutral now. We're feeling a lot of our spine pressing into the mat. And then as we inhale, we're just going to try to lift those arms above the head. And exhale, bring those arms all the way back over. Inhale, reaching up. And exhale, forwards. Just getting a little bit of mobility going through the shoulders. But keeping the abs tight so that we're not feeling our rib cage move around. And we're not letting the ribs flare up. But using those abdominals to isolate just the shoulders. Do that 3 more times. And 2. And on this last one, lift. And then let's bring those hands behind the head. You can either keep your fingers interlaced, or if that feels too tight in your shoulders, take your fingertips right behind those ears or those occipital bones, the little bony part in the base of the skull. Now, scoot those feet a little closer to your tush, and we're going to find our neutral pelvis again. So again, that's pretty flat across the top of the pelvis. Those right and left hip bones are equal. And we're going to come into some chest lifts here. So, taking a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale to lift that head and chest up, up, up. Trying to get the shoulder blades off the floor. Holding for your inhale. And exhale, lowering down. Taking a deep breath in here. And exhale, lifting up. Check your pelvic position, trying to not flatten, but keep your neutral. Exhaling to lower back down. Deep breath in. Exhale to lift. Inhale, pause. Exhale to lower. Moving slowly, deep breaths in through the nose. Exhale to lift. Holding that lift as you take your inhale. Exhaling to lower. We have 3 more. Exhaling to lift again. Inhale, hold your lift. Exhaling to lower down. Last 2 here. Inhale. Exhale to lift. Inhale. Exhale to lower. And 1 more time. Inhale. Exhale to lift. Hold that lift. Take your inhale. And exhale to lower down. Now we're going to go into our chest lift with rotation immediately here. Both hands stay behind the head, exhaling to lift center. Now keep both hips anchored into the floor, and we're just going to lift the left shoulder across towards the right hip. Inhale, center. Exhale, right shoulder towards left hip. Inhale, center. Left shoulder towards right hip. Inhale, center. Right shoulder towards left hip. As you come center, try to lift a little higher up and then across. Inhale, center, and across. Let's get 2 more for each side. You've got this. Breathing in center. Chin stays lifted. And last one each way. Inhale, center. Exhale, lowering down. Beautiful work. Go ahead and take a full body stretch here. Both legs reaching long, the arms up above the ears. Just let those ribs flare open. Let the belly fill with air. From here, we'll slide right leg up towards the chest. Give it a nice big hug. And keep the left leg pressing into the floor. We're going to grab behind the right thigh. Take a deep breath in and extend the right leg up, but keep the thigh pulling towards the chest. And we're just going to start to create a stretch in the back of the leg. And then exhale and bend the knee. Inhale, start stretching that leg out. And exhale, bend. 3 more times. And 2. And on the last one, we'll stretch that leg out all the way. Let it come away from the body. Release those arms down by your sides. And we're going to point our toes up towards the ceiling. Now the knee joint does not have to be perfectly straight. That knee joint can be a little soft if you prefer, if you're feeling extra tension in the back of the leg. And we're going to start in on some circles. We're going to start counterclockwise, so making a line straight down the center, out and around. Now start very small with these circles, and we're gradually going to start getting bigger and bigger. But make sure the rest of your body stays very still and anchored into your floor. And only then you'll be able to make some bigger circles. But if the body starts to wobble, make that range of motion a little smaller for your circle. Try using your left leg as an anchor, really pressing that left leg into the floor. Let's do 3 more circles here. And 2. And 1 more. And then pause at the top. Now we'll reverse the direction of that circle. Start small circles again. Same leg. Breathing in. Breathing out. Maybe making those circles a little bit bigger now. Again, keeping your knee a little bit soft is okay. Make sure you're circling your thigh and not circling just your ankle or your knee joint, but your whole leg moving together. And then let's go for 3 more circles. Go ahead and make them nice and big, but really anchoring the rest of your body into your mat. Coming back to the top, and we'll pause here. Bend that right knee, hugging the top of that knee into the chest. And we're going to give it a really tight squeeze. As the hands are pulling that knee towards the chest, the knee is going to push away from the chest. So the knee and the hands are fighting each other. So the knee is going to stay right where it is, but you're feeling a sensation deep in that hip joint. Let's hold that stretch for 3. Hold 2. Hold 1. And then release that leg all the way straight out onto your mat. Give it a nice shake out. Gorgeous. Moving on to that left leg. We'll hug the knee into the chest first. And then moving those hands to the back of the thigh. Start to take a nice inhale and extend that leg for a stretch. Exhale, bending the knee back down, and we want to try to keep the thigh as close to the chest as possible. Inhale, extending to get a stretch through the back of the leg. And exhale, bending again. 3 more times here. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, bend. And 2 more. And 1 more time. And then letting that leg go, releasing it away from the body, pointing the toes up towards the ceiling, planting those arms by your side, and then remember to anchor down with your other leg, that right leg, to help support and stabilize the rest of the body. Now let's start clockwise with our small circles, going down the center, sweeping out and up and around. And then maybe making a little bit bigger of a circle. Just choosing whatever feels good for you. And whatever you can control. Keeping the rest of the body nice and stable. And breathing. And we'll do our last 3 big circles. And 2. And 1. Pausing at the top. Now we reverse the direction, start small circles again. Remember to use your right leg to press into the floor to help anchor the body. Scooping those abs in tight. The back of the shoulders pressing into your mat. Let's make those circles a little bit bigger now. Breathing in. And out. And last 3. And 2. 1 more. And then we'll hug that left knee into the chest. Give it a good tight squeeze. Some good deep breaths here. Now start to push your knee away from your chest, but pull back with those hands. Feeling that sensation deep within your hip joint. Hold 3. Hold 2. Hold 1. And release that leg all the way straight out onto your mat. And we'll give those legs a little shake out. Very nice. All right, let's leave those legs straight out on the mat. We're going to take our arms straight up towards the ceiling with palms facing in towards each other. Take a deep breath in and raise the arms up by the ears. Exhale to lift the head and chest up halfway so the shoulder blades lift, and we're going to reach those arms down by our sides. Inhale, laying back down, reaching those arms up. Exhale to lift halfway. And inhale, coming back down. So we're preparing for our full roll-up. This is the little roll-up prep. We're just seeing how this feels. Eventually, we're going to try to roll the body all the way up. But the goal is to go as slowly as possible, 1 inch at a time. Let's do it 1 more time, only halfway up. And then coming back down. Now, we're going to try coming all the way up on this next one, but if you get stuck halfway up, we're going to come right back down, and I'm going to pretend like I'm getting stuck, because I probably am getting stuck. I usually get stuck right at that spot on the lower back. So breathing in. Breathing out to lift up halfway. Now, right over that low back hump, I usually get stuck. So I'm going to bring the legs to tabletop, using those to A, deepen into the belly and round through the lower back a little more, but also to use those legs as a little lasso to kind of pull my arms and roll over that tight low back hump. Up to a forward fold, reaching a little stretch through that lower back, scooping the belly toward the spine, take an inhale, and then we're going to slowly roll it straight back into the mat. And this is where we can make some strides in stretching that spine out, moving as slowly as we can. Try to keep your heels on the floor. Press them down. Slowly rolling back. Articulating one vertebra at a time down into that mat. As the head rests, let those arms come all the way up by the ears. Take your inhale here. Exhale, lifting slowly up halfway. The arms come up and over, down by the thighs. Pause, take your inhale. And then you can either try lifting up the rest of the way, or you can grab those legs in tabletop and use those to round the lower back and slowly roll up, reaching those legs forward, stretching the arms into forward fold. Take your inhale, scoop the belly back towards the spine and start rolling back down ever so slowly. See how slowly you can go. Scoop that tail forward towards the feet. All the way down, articulating through the mid and upper back, and the head, and those arms reaching up by the ears. And we're going to do this one more time all the way through. I'll demonstrate with tabletop one more time. So exhale, lifting up halfway. If you get stuck halfway, bringing those legs up, grabbing the legs, pulling the body up a little higher, starting to push the legs forwards, slowly curling up and over that hump, and then reaching those arms forward folds. Taking your inhale here, and exhaling to scoop and roll it straight back. Slow, keep those heels down. Use the abs to control and roll. We're coming all the way down. Let those arms come up by your ears. And then we're going to take our right leg, just bend the knee, place your foot flat. Right arm comes up towards the ceiling, and then we're just going to use that leverage to roll onto our side. The right arm will stay down onto the mat. The right leg is going to reach straight out. It's going to lift up to about hip height here. And then we're going to scoop our obliques nice and tight, lifting those ribs off of the floor, pulling the belly in, and reaching really long through that top side of the body, almost as if someone's pulling our leg out of the socket. Now the bottom leg can be straight for a challenge to that stability on the side, or if you feel like you're wobbling and you're going to fall over, you can bend that bottom leg for a little bit more support. So we're going to start by just lifting and lowering the leg, and I want the heel to be higher than the toes. So I don't want the toes pointing upwards. I want the toes pointing downwards. And we're going to lift the heel up, and 3, and 4, and 5, 5 more, and 4, 3, 2. Now hold the lift, and we're going to take little tiny circles, pulling the belly in, trying not to let anything else move except for that leg. And now 5 more times, and 4, 3, 2, and now reversing that circle for 10, and 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest it here. Now both legs are going to shoot straight out, and they're going to shoot towards the front edge of your mat, or just kind of scooting them in front of you just a hair, just a couple inches. Both legs are glued together at the knees, the ankles, and the feet. Top hand, again, can be down on the mat for more support or reaching down your side. We're going to scoop the belly in, lift both legs up, reaching them really, really long away from you. Inhale here, and exhale, lifting both legs up a little higher. Dropping that top shoulder down your side a little bit more. Inhale, exhale, lifting a little higher. Inhale, lowering halfway, and exhale, lifting higher. Inhale down, exhale, lift. So the bottom leg's doing a lot of work on this one. We're going to go for 6 more times here. That inner thigh is initiating the movement. It's really lengthening as it lifts. We're feeling the pelvic floor, the belly, and that top oblique. And 2 more times here. And last one. And lowering down. Now we're going to come onto our belly for back extension. So that you can see the position, I'm going to actually face towards the camera, but you're going to follow along on your belly. So you're going to lie down on your stomach, on your mat, with your legs stretched out and your arms reaching a little bit wider than a traditional yoga mat width. So making a nice wide Y shape. And then we're going to scoop our belly in, tucking the tail towards the mat so that we feel a nice stretched out through the low back. So we're facing our nose down towards the floor, and then we're going to squeeze the glutes, lift both legs off of the mat. Inhale, puffing the chest, lifting the arms and the chest off the mat, lifting the head back. So we've got all 4 limbs lifting off the mat, the head and the chest lifting as well, and then we're going to lower down, okay? So we're inhaling to lift all 4 limbs and the head off the mat, and then exhaling to lower down. Start by scooping your belly to protect your back. Inhale to lift, and exhale to lower. If that feels too intense, you can just do the arms one at a time. Inhale to lift, and exhale to lower. And the nose should always be pointing down at the floor, even as you're lifting your head, the nose does not lift up, it stays pointing down towards the mat. Go for 3. Belly in. Inhale to squeeze those glutes, lift the chest, float those arms up, shoulder blades down the back. Give me 2 more here. And 1 more time. Belly in, squeeze those glutes to lift the legs. Puff the chest, lift the head, lift those arms, shoulder blades in, and lower down. And then let's place those palms under the shoulders, press back to child's pose or cat stretch. Just take a couple quick breaths there, releasing that lower spine, releasing your neck, resting your head on the mat. And then we'll turn to our other side, lying all the way down on our arm, taking our top arm either down on the floor for support or reaching right down our side. And then the bottom leg either bent for a little bit of stability or straight out for a little bit of challenge. Top leg is going to reach out at hip height, and then we'll take that rib cage from the floor, lifting up, feeling that nice tightness through the lat and through the oblique, reaching that top leg out even further, really nice long, like someone's pulling your leg out of its socket, and then we're just going to lift. And remember, try not to lose that space in the waist, and try not to let your toe turn upwards. You want your heel to turn upwards. We're getting towards that glute medius, that very tiny spot in the side of the glute muscle. That's 3, and 4, and 5. Remember to keep the top shoulder down away from the ear. That's 4 more here, and 3, and 2, and we're gonna hold the last one. Now circling that leg for 10, 9, 8, belly button in, don't lose that stability through the trunk. 4, 3, 2, and reverse. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and relax it here. Both legs are straightened. Both legs are squeezing together. We'll reach them forwards a couple inches. Top hand either down on the mat or down your side for more challenge. We're going to squeeze those legs together, floating them off the mat. Take your inhale, exhale, lifting a little higher. Inhale, halfway down. Exhale, lift. Inhale, halfway down. And exhale, lift. So that bottom leg again is lengthening as it squeezes up into the top leg. And at that same time, we're lifting through the pelvic floor, squeezing those inner thighs and pulling through the belly button. Give me 5 and 4. Last 3. Keep those legs and ankles squeezing. And one more time. And lowering down. Beautiful work. All right, we're going to come up and finish with some of our tricep push-ups. So coming onto hands and knees. Bear with me, this is a quick set. So you're going to come onto, let's go this way, onto your hands and knees, finding our neutral spine position. So hands are directly under where the shoulders are. The hands are exactly at shoulders width. And then from this position, let's do a couple pelvic tilts so that we can find our neutral pelvic position. Now, that can be achieved by reaching back and making sure you're pretty flat across your lower back. You can also reach down in front and make sure that your pubic bone and your hip bones are pretty much aligned. But if you were to put a cup of coffee right across your lower back or like a yoga block, that should stay on your lower back sacrum area. And then make sure your elbows are soft, that the elbows are rotated back towards your hips. And then we want our neutral, natural spine. So that means that we're scooping up through the abs here. We're pretending that we're going to tear the floor apart underneath us, so pushing our palms out to the sides, but we're not really moving our hands, right? And then we're going to lift our feet, slowly bending those elbows towards our hips, but shifting the shoulders out in front, and then pushing back up. So again, tightening those ribs, tightening the abs, bending the elbows back towards our hips and shifting our shoulders forwards, and then pushing back. So just go as low as you can, keeping your abs really tight. If you find yourself collapsing, arching your spine, come all the way back up. We don't want to lose that neutral spine. So don't even move until you can really keep that strong abs, the strong shoulder connection. Again, set up that perfect position first before you even start that push-up. And then you really don't have to go very far, but you're already feeling a really good, strong connection in those shoulders. Remember not to dive the head down. We want to keep the chin like tucked up into the throat. The gaze straight down in front of the fingertips. Let's try a few more, maybe 4. And 3. Trying this 2 more times, and you're always going to come back up. You're always going to pause. You're going to readjust yourself, get the best position you can before trying that push-up again. Let's do 1 more. And then we'll sit back onto our heels. Take the knees really wide, and we're going to reach our hands in front. Maybe you can even reach your hands over to one side of the mat and breathe deeply into the side of the body. And maybe walking those hands to the other side of the mat. Breathing deeply into that other side. And coming back to the center. Reaching those arms forwards. Sitting the hips back again. Maybe letting your head rest on the mat. Just take a couple more deep breaths here. And really feeling your ribs expand in between those thighs. Just letting that air out. Maybe wiggling those hips down towards your heels a little bit more. And then we're going to finish off with one more bridge variation. So we're going to slide it forwards onto our belly again. Spinning over onto our back. And we're going to finish one more bridge variation. So we're going to build onto this one. We're going to create a little sequence. If you've gotten to the point that feels enough for you, you can just hang out there and you can add more and go to the next if that feels great for you. So arms down by your sides, palms down, pressing into the floor, letting the shoulders melt back, opening through the chest. Start with your feet and knees all the way together, and then we'll open the toes and knees up into that V shape, and then we'll lift those heels, we'll shift those heels back behind the toes, so we have our nice equal parallel feet and knees. Taking a deep breath in here. Exhale, scooping the belly towards the spine as we tilt the tail upwards. Push into those feet, squeeze the glutes, and we lift into our bridge. Press into our hands. Now, if the bridge is enough for you, you can lower your hips down halfway, and then you can squeeze your glutes and lift up again. Lower halfway, and squeeze and lift. If you want to go to the next step, we're going to shift the weight into the right foot, squeeze the right glute, and lift the left. And then lowering down, and then the right. Down, and left. So kind of marching. If you can, just check out the alignment of your hip bones. Make sure that one is not dropping as you lift the other. Make sure they're staying nice and even. And then finally, we're going to add one more challenge. So, coming onto your right foot, lifting your left. Extending the left, flexing the toes. We're going to go into a little bicycle. So lowering down, bicycling the leg up, flexing to lower, and then pointing the toes to bicycle up. We'll go 4 more times here. Still keeping the hips square. 3. And 2. And 1 more. And then we'll take that left leg to tabletop, pressing it down to our bridge. Exhale, right leg, tabletop. Inhale, extend. Exhale, down with flex leg, pointing the toes, and we'll bicycle. Inhale. 5 more times. Exhale. And inhale. Last 4. Press your arms down by your sides. And 3. You could still be just marching in your bridge, just switching legs. And last 1. We come back to tabletop. Both feet flat. Now everybody bring both feet flat. You're in your bridge, pressing those palms down. Take a deep breath in. Drop that chest bone first. And then deep in the belly. And then drop those hip bones, rolling all the way down. Gorgeous work, you guys. Take your right ankle over your left knee. Let that right knee fall out to the side. Scoot those legs closer in. If that feels like enough stretch, you can hang out there, or hug both knees up towards your chest, threading your hands through and under your left leg. And we'll hang here for a couple deep breaths. Maybe a gentle rock side to side to get a little bit deeper into that glute stretch for your right side. Two more deep breaths here. And we'll release those legs. And then left ankle over right. Let that left knee point out to the side, scooting those legs closer to you. And for more stretch, hugging both of those legs. And breathing deeply. Maybe a gentle rocking side to side. Two more nice deep breaths. And releasing both of those legs down. Lifting the head and chest. We'll rock back and forth along the spine. Coming all the way up to a sitting position. Whatever makes you feel comfy. Crisscrossing the legs. Maybe sitting on the knees, maybe sitting on the feet. Rolling those shoulders back. We're going to turn the elbow creases to face forwards and just place those fingertips onto the floor right by your hips. Pressing into those fingers a little bit and just feel your spine lengthening. And then you can release that pressure from the fingertips. Pull those abs in and just keep lengthening the spine by using those muscles in the torso. And then from here, we're going to tilt our head over to one side. And then whichever hand is opposite the way you're tilting, you're just going to try to anchor that shoulder down, let the fingertips and the hand sink into the floor a little more. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Let your head fall around to the center of your chest and to the other shoulder. And then letting that other hand sink down into the floor a little more, letting that shoulder relax away from the ear. Take a deep breath in. Exhaling to drop the chin to the chest in the center. And then pausing here, and we'll look straight forwards. So again, just letting those shoulders roll back a little bit without letting the ribs flare open. We're keeping those abs nice and tight. The sit bones rooted down into the floor. And then let's just take those arms, reaching them outwards and upwards, spreading those fingers nice and wide. And then exhale, lowering those arms back down, letting the shoulders settle down. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, reaching up. And exhale, reaching out, reaching down. And one more time. Inhale, reaching up. Let's bring those palms together overhead, drawing those palms down to heart center. Giving yourself a bow of thanks. And high fives for a great workout. Virtual fives. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you